They say every story has a beginning, but that's not entirely accurate. It's true, sure, but I think a more appropriate statement would be that from the beginning, there were stories. Humans wouldn't be able to survive without them. While they may be vital, that isn't to say that stories don't come with their own set of problems. Perhaps one of the more noticeable issues lies with the ability to discern fact from fiction. On the surface, that may seem likely to fall within the realm of human error. However, that's only because you're not considering the essence of a story. Stories, from the very moment they are created, are subject to change. Perspective plays a role, but then again, so does time. Given enough time, all things change. The year was 1922. Robert Johnson and his mother had recently moved to the town of Tunica, Mississippi, after spending the last several years in Memphis. They lived on the Abbey and Leatherman plantation, where he spent most of his days toiling away in a field, eagerly waiting for the sun to dip into the western horizon. As the moon crept from twilight, Robert would nestle his back against his bedroom wall and play his harmonica until he'd fall asleep. His love for music may have been born in Memphis, but it began to grow in Tunica. It wasn't until the summer of 1922 that Robert discovered his first true love, the guitar. Unfortunately, while he was quite good at the harmonica, many considered him to be an embarrassingly bad guitar player. Robert didn't allow this to deter him, however. He continued to practice and eventually reached a point where people would sing along rather than shout at him to stop. In the spring of 1928, Robert found something that he loved even more than the guitar, a girl by the name of Virginia Travis. The two would sneak off at night and meet at their special place. It was a large oak tree tucked in the corner of a nearby field. They'd lay on the grass near its roots and make love while the stars shone brightly overhead. Afterwards, they'd talk about their hopes and dreams and what the future held for the two of them. It was a good life. Great, in fact. Unfortunately, it came to an abrupt and tragic halt the following year when Virginia died during childbirth. By all accounts, Robert was never the same after she died. They say every story has a beginning. For Robert Johnson, this is where his story truly begins. Slim took a long pull from the bottle of whiskey. "To Virginia," he said, then passed the bottle to Robert. Robert shook his head. "I don't drink." Slim patted him somberly on the back. "First time for everything. Go on now, it'll make you feel better." Robert wiped the tear that was about to fall and then grabbed the bottle. He eyed it dubiously, then took a small sip. Fire slunk down his throat, then he began coughing profusely. "How in the hells do people drink this stuff?" Slim burst out laughing. "Come on, boy. It ain't that bad. Besides, you get used to it. Seems kind of like life, but then you're sad when it runs out. Ain't that just the way? Go on now, give it back. Let me get another nip." Robert passed him the bottle, shaking his head. "I'll never get used to it." Slim took another gulp and then shoved the bottle towards Robert. "Not with that attitude you won't. It ain't proper to let a man drink alone, especially not at a time like this." The word alone cut sharper than any steel. Robert hadn't been expecting the tears again so soon, but that didn't stop them from welling in his eyes. Life just wasn't fair, that's all there was to it. He grabbed the bottle and took another sip, bigger this time. He coughed, but not nearly as much as the first one. Maybe Slim was right. Maybe you did just get used to it. Besides, the liquor would never burn as much as the memories did. Slim smiled. "See, told you so. What happens now?" "What do you mean?" "Boy, don't you play dumb with me. I see you walking around here looking like a slapped ass. You think that's what Virginia would want?" "No," Robert said, then for good measure added, "You don't know." "The hell I don't. You don't get to my age and I know a thing or two. I know plenty. Now, what you gonna do?" I don't know." "All right, fine. Fit to tell you what you gonna do. You gonna sing, you gonna play that guitar. 'Cause outside of Virginia, that's the only thing ever made you smile." "What's the point? I'm not even very good." Slim stared at Robert. A thought had crossed his mind. One he shouldn't share and one that he'd assuredly regret later if he did. But the whiskey nudged him along. "What if there was a way?" "A way for what?" "You know, to get better." Are you saying to practice more?" "No, boy. I'm talking about the Crossroads."